Welcome back. The Super Bowl MVP with the Saints, Hall of Famer, Drew Brees, joining us on the program. Good to see you again. What do you remember most about going to the Combine when you played?
Yeah, it was, the thing I remember most was for whatever reason, I was most worried about the 40-yard dash. So I feel like so much of my focus from, call it January, February leading up to it was, how well can I run? How much of an athlete can I show people I am? Because, all of I think all that people were saying was he's too short, not enough arm strength, all those deficiencies. And so I felt like I had to make up for it in some other way, with athleticism. So I remember focusing on the L drill, the vertical, and especially the 40-yard dash.
Do you remember your time?
Yeah, 4.82 was the electronic time. But apparently, the guys are in the stands, the scouts with their hand time. And so it was as fast as 4.65 is what I was told.
Oh,
but 4.82 electronic. And so I felt good about that. But unfortunately, I didn't throw the ball very well at the combine. And I should have realized that, it really wasn't about the 40-yard dash. It was about how you throw.
What did you think when you saw Michael Vick run the 40-yard dash? He was at the same combine with you.
Yeah, he didn't need to run. I think you just turn on the film and you know exactly what you're getting with him.
Well, that's what we do fall in love with the combine numbers. And if I watched you play at Purdue, I saw what you could, like we get caught up in that. And I think sometimes teams talk themselves into something or out of something based off the combine. Do you say that's a fair assessment?
You're exactly right. So we call it measurables, right? Everyone's looking at the measurables. So is it how far you can throw, or how fast you can throw, how fast the ball gets there, how fast you run, how high you jump, right? At the end of the day, especially with the quarterback position, I feel like 90% of it is, between your ears, and in your chest, So, the way I would evaluate quarterbacks is I want to turn on the film and I want to watch the way they play the game, the way they process the game, the way they work through progressions, their anticipation, how they can throw guys open. And then I want to talk to their teammates. I want to talk to the equipment managers. I want to talk to the trainers. I want to talk to everybody in the building. Tell me about this guy, right? What type of personality he is, what type of leader he is. Give me examples of when you've been in tough situations, how this guy's responded. How do you feel when this guy steps in the huddle? I mean, to me, those are the immeasurables. Those are the intangibles. Yeah. And that's the stuff that's most important.
But if you look at Bryce Young, he's a little bit shorter than you. I think you weighed a little bit more than him. If I'm, combine numbers, yeah. I think you were 6 feet, about 213, something like that.
Yeah.
But what really matters with Bryce Young? What would matter to you if you're the GM of the Bears or the Texans, Colts? What are you looking at, and what would you be concerned about?
The only thing I'd be concerned about is maybe durability, just based on what you've said, right? If he's a little bit more slight in stature, is that going to be an issue with, just making your way through a 17-game season and some of the abuse that your body takes? I know the league takes better care of quarterbacks now than they did, 20 years ago. But still, that would be the only, if you'd say, concern. I mean, I think some guys are able to stay healthier than others for various reasons. As a quarterback, there's plenty of times where you're just in vulnerable positions, and it is what it is. But bottom line, you turn on the film with Bryce Young, and man, the guy has got talent. The guy makes plays. The guy throws with anticipation. He is a smart player. He knows where to go with the football. He can avoid, right? I think a lot of playing the quarterback position now is, can you avoid, slide, move, buy yourself a little extra time to be able to make that play, or get outside the pocket in order to make that play. That's kind of the evolution of the quarterback position that we're starting to see.
If you ran the Ravens, what would you be doing with Lamar Jackson?
Well, I think he is an extremely talented player. I love the way he plays the game. from everything I've seen with his teammates and guys that I know who played with him, they love him. They love him as a teammate. They love him as a leader. It's really how you want to build your system. I think Baltimore has always been this, physical style of football, both offensively and defensively, very aggressive defensively, high pressure, but the division in which they play, they play in the Northeast. It's a ground, game emphasis. If that's the direction you want to go, then Lamar Jackson's your quarterback. If you want to go a different direction in the style of offense that you play, then, I guess you're going to get somebody else.
But do you care about the price tag? Should he get what Deshaun Watson got?
I don't know. I mean, again, there's you look at every team that has a quarterback that's reached that next contract, and it certainly has an effect on your team. The teams that have drafted a guy well, or they have him, cheap, so to speak, because they're on their rookie deal, they have the ability to go out and spend money elsewhere for a period of time until that guy is up and is getting that big number. So it certainly impacts the team once they reach that level.
Derek Carr going to your Saints, your reaction?
Yeah, I think it's a great fit. I think it's a great fit for him. I think it's a great fit for the Saints. I've always been impressed with Derek Carr. I think he's been in a pretty dysfunctional situation. I think we all recognize that. He's been, look at all that's happened to the Raiders, both from a personnel perspective and just, all the controversy and everything that's swirled around them for the last couple of years. That's a very difficult situation to be in. I think he's caught the brunt of that unfairly in a lot of ways. I've always been impressed watching him play. I think he certainly has the ability to take an offense like what the Saints run and execute that well, put a lot on his plate, where, in many cases you're going up to the line of scrimmage with multiple plays, or the ability to check in and out of plays. I've seen him do that. John Gruden's offense, which is what he came up in, was the same offense that we run. It's that West Coast style, but the ability to, hey, we're not going to run a bad play. That was always the philosophy. We're going to get out of bad plays, get into good plays. You got to be a smart quarterback to do that. You have to recognize what's happening on the other side. I always felt like he did a good job of that. So I think it's a good fit.
Talking to Drew Brees, do you think Brady is officially retired?
Yeah, I think so. Look, I don't know.
But nobody wants to retire if they can still play, right? At that position.
Yeah. Look, that was always.
If I gave you perfect health, you might still be playing.
Yeah, but look, there's a sacrifice that goes along with that. You have to be so fully invested in what you're doing, especially as the quarterback. So much falls on your shoulders. And when you are the caliber of player that Tom Brady is, or at that level, you take that burden on yourself. You take so much of the burden, maybe more so than you deserve or should, but you do. And only those who have been in that position know what that feels like. So literally, call it 7 months, but really it's the whole year where your mind is just consumed with being the best quarterback you can be for your team, being the best leader you can be for your team. You shoulder so much of that responsibility. And that's where your mind is. So it's very hard to turn that off. It's very hard to pull yourself away from that. And other things sacrifice as a result. Golly, the guy played for 23 years, at the highest level. I think there's always that adjustment when you do step away. I certainly know that was the way it was for me. Here I am 2 years from my, official announcement of retirement. And man, there's plenty of days where I wake up and I'm still in that mode of like, man, what do I have to do today? That structure and routine that football, gave you, and you feel like something is missing a little bit.
How often would you have those conversations with your wife that you weren't present as a father and a husband?
Yeah. I think I tried to be very mindful of that and recognize that, especially in the latter stages of my career when my kids were getting that age where, being present was so important. And, you're having much more real conversations. It's not like they're at that baby or infant stage. I mean, they're at this stage now where, you can have real conversations. And I would say the balance in my life, like that really gave me great balance in my life, because I knew that when I left the facility, I was leaving that behind, and I was totally focusing on, my family when I got home. And we had kind of our own little routine when I would get home, reading books to the kids before bed, talking about the day, saying our prayers. It was really, like, honestly, I felt like that put me in a much even better headspace when it came to then waking up the next day and doing it again. My kids recognized what their dad did. They had a chance to be a part of that. They had a chance to come in the locker room. They had a chance to be there on game day, and afterward, so there was this recognition of what their dad did, the fact that their dad was, working hard, represented not just his team, but, the city, and, so many other aspects of what the job entailed.
Did your kids ever
it actually got more fun. It got more fun.
Your kids ever ask for autographs from the opposition, the opposing team?
Well, the best was, I mean, there was like funny moments that, like I remember I think we played the Houston Texans back in 2015. JJ Watt got after us pretty good. I feel like he was hitting me every play. And so I get home, it was a road game. I get home, it's kind of, later in the evening, 7:00 at night. I get home, and the kids are like, I knew right when I walk in the door, I got to let the game go. We had lost, got beat up a little bit, let the game go, be with the kids. I walk in the door, and the kids are like, "Hey, Dad, let's play football." I'm like, "All right, guys, let's do it." And they're like, "Okay, you be Drew Brees." I'm like, "Okay, I can do that." And they're like, "And we'll be JJ Watt. So you stand there, and we're just gonna like tackle you." I'm like, "Oh, that sounds great."
Yeah.
Like I didn't get enough of that today.
Who's risking more, the Packers if they let Rodgers go, or the Jets in acquiring Aaron Rodgers?
Well, who's risking more? I think that's a better deal for the Jets.
But you don't even know how long you get him for. I mean, you might be getting
but look, it's a window of opportunity.
Okay.
Look at the Rams and basically what they attempted to do 2 years ago when they won the Super Bowl, right? I mean, they basically mortgage the future. You go out, you trade for Stafford, you trade for Von Miller, right? You get OBJ, right? You make all these moves literally with the attempt to win right now, this season. And in a way, you mortgage your future as a result of it. But you sense the window of opportunity, and you do everything you can to get it done. So in a way, depending on what that number is, and what they trade and, that kind of thing, that's basically what you're doing. You say, we got a talented roster. We got some young guys that we don't have to pay yet. Let's make this trade. Let's pay Rodgers. Let's make a run at the next 2 years or whatever it is. And then just, forget the future. Just focus on these next 2 years going to win.
Do you know Rodgers at all?
I don't. Not really.
I think we're all still trying to figure him out.
I think that's a pretty accurate statement.
Yeah, that's what makes me nervous too. I don't know how important football is to him, and I do love what the Jets have. I mean, they got offensive rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year. They have that potential. I just feel like there might be 2 years away, or maybe even a little bit more, and is Rodgers going to be around for that? That'd be the risk there with that. Is he going to get together with those receivers? Is he going to be all in on the offseason? That's where I think you run the risk.
Yeah, look, I think when you go to a new team, though, and look, Brady could attest to this. There's a bit of this rejuvenation, right? He leaves New England. Nobody ever thought he'd leave New England, just like nobody thought Payton would leave Denver, right? But the next thing you know, they're on a new team. But there's a bit of this rejuvenation that takes place in feeling like you're building up the foundation again. But not just that, but you feel like you can be the architect of that in a lot of ways, because of your experience and, the level of respect that you garner, but also like, the things that you like, what works for you, what is going to help you and the offense be successful, you and the team be successful. So I think that most guys would take that as a great challenge, a great opportunity, and would be all in.
How confident are you that Sean Payton can fix Russell Wilson?
Well, I know what Sean brings to the table from the perspective of leadership, communication, and really building a winning culture. I think that's a talented roster. I think that's a great fit. That was a great move by them to go get him. I think again, Sean, similar to the quarterback going somewhere else. Same with Sean Payton. Like, this is a rejuvenating time for him. Another challenge, another opportunity. I mean, this is right up his alley. This is what he does best. And Sean does an exceptional job of taking the talents of the guys that he has at his disposal and putting them in the best position to succeed. So this offense will be built around Russell Wilson and the things that he does best, and the pieces that he has around him.
Good to visit with you. Hope the boys are keeping you active there.
That's good. We were just before this, we were out in the yard learning how to throw a slider. It's baseball season. So
do you want them to be baseball players or football players?
I want them to be all sports players.
Good.
For as long as possible.
Good.
So at this point, they don't really take anything too serious, which I'm kind of waiting for them to really, lock in on a sport. But they're playing a little bit of everything, which that's what I like. We play golf, we play paddle sports, football, basketball, baseball, lacrosse. Just have a stick in their hand or a ball in their hand or a glove or something. Just moving.
Good stuff. Good to talk to you. Thanks for joining us, Drew.
You too. Thanks, Dan.
It's Drew Brees.